The purpose of this presentation is to go over the assignments that are due this week. If you look at the introduction unit, you see all of the assignments that are due, and I'd like to go over each one of those with you. So let's go into introduction unit. And lesson 1 is an introduction to the class, and when you go into this lesson, you will find on line 01, and it asks you to show evidence that you've watched the videos. On line 02 is found in this unit, and this is the lecture that we did in class. Here it is on YouTube if you want to listen to it again. And then once you're sure of what you're doing with your grant, you have your grants now, on line 02, which if you click here, will open this assignment. And this assignment requires you to read your grant and get the most important information onto this document. So in the future, when you need something for your grant, rather than having to go back and read all 50 or 70 pages of the grant, the most important information will be found on this document. One of the most important things here is that you need to put the page number of where you find something. So in case I disagree with your answer, I can go see where you found the answer, and so I can help clarify what the answer is. So it tells you right here, you should copy and paste some of the things directly from the grant. So it asks what type of agency you are, you can copy and paste that. How much money do you get per year, you can copy and paste that. This is a yes or no question. The major goals of the grant, you definitely should copy and paste. I don't want you to paraphrase them. This is probably a few words or a sentence. Most of your grants have links where you can gather information related to your grant, and what I want you to do is copy and paste the links to this section. There's a section in your grant that tells you how you can spend your money and how you cannot spend it, so that would go here. It often tells you what kind of organizations you should collaborate with for your grant. For number 9, I'm asking you for your ideas. This is not a place where you copy and paste. I want to see what you're thinking at this point after reading through the grant. This is for me to see what you're thinking and give you feedback if you're thinking along the lines of what the grant wants you to do. Then whatever you say here to number 9, you will then answer number 10. So based on what you say for your ideas, well, how many staff do you think you need to make that happen? And based on number 9, what kind of purchases or supplies would you need? So if you were doing a CPR grant, you might need CPR mannequins. If you were doing a safe sex grant, you might need to buy condoms and penises and vagina models. Then in this section, most of you are going to be required to attend conferences. So you're going to look to see if a conference is required. Then here, you're going to write the number of pages maximum that your grant is allowed to be and what the font and spacing is. For this one, do you have any questions about your grant at this point in the semester after reading what you've read? So that's what this one is, and it's designed to help you get all the most important information to one document that's shorter than your whole grant. So that's what on line 02 is. If we go back to the Unit 1 introductions, Introduction to Research was our time in the library. This lesson 04 also has an online assignment, and this online assignment is here. And what it asks you to do is answer questions from the reading that you've done. So there's a reading assignment in our textbook that's online, Community Toolbox. And it asks you to answer these questions. We'll go back to content again. Introductions. Lesson 3, Lesson 4. Lesson 5 is an introduction to grammar. Usually I do this in class, but because we're on a reduced semester, you're going to do this on your own. It tells you exactly what to do. It tells you to look at this. It tells you to look at your book that you were supposed to purchase for the class. And then it asks you to work on this assignment. This assignment is not collected, but it will help you with the assignment that is collected. So it gives you a whole bunch of sentences, and it asks you to identify what's wrong with each sentence. The goal is to spend 30 to 60 minutes on this and try to figure out as many as you can as to what's wrong with the sentence. After you do that, you will go back to this page and you will then find the answer key. You could actually just look at the answer key, but that will not help you as much as if you try to do the assignment first without the answer key and then look at the answer key. I'll go over this in class with you, but here's on line 04. And for on line 04, grammar, what you're going to do is you're going to write 25 examples of grammatically incorrect sentences. You have to use 15 different errors. So in order to get the 1 point for each sentence, you have to give the example, show what's wrong, and fix it. So here is the way I would prefer you to do it, and that is to list the type of error, give your example, and then correct it. So for example, if this were a grammatical error, names must be capitalized, and you had the Baltimore City Health Department is opening a new office. I have highlighted what's wrong. It's because names must be capitalized, and here's the correct way to do it. If you only need 15 different errors and 25 examples, so you might have 2 or 3 examples of one error, and that's fine. But by doing it like this, it makes it much easier for me to grade and to calculate if you have the correct number of errors. And you must have what's wrong, the example of what's wrong, and then how to fix it in order to get the 1 point per sentence. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is your annotated bibliography. And so this is very important because this is the first step in learning how to write a paper correctly. I know most people don't do this, but it will help you. In the old days, we didn't have computers where you could copy and paste information. We actually had to go get the article ourselves, and then we would write on little file cards what the key points of the article were. Because you guys have access to copy and paste on the computer, it actually increases the risk of plagiarizing. And so most people plagiarize inadvertently. They don't mean to do it. So one of the reasons you do annotated bibliographies is to help you not plagiarize. So for every article you read, you should actually do this. So if you read 20 articles to write your paper, you should have 20 annotated bibliographies. I'm only collecting 2, and that is to give you some feedback. So you're going to write directly on the sheet. You're going to save it as ABO1, year, month, date, and your name. Then you'll attach it to Blackboard and submit, and there's a scoring rubric at the end. But I want to go over the directions with you because it's very important. For this unit, for this one, your goal is to try to find 3 to 5 articles or sources, and it may be a government site, it may not be an article, that are addressing your grant topic. These are suggestions on what your article should be. It should be about the topic. It should be about the population that's identified at risk. It should be about trends on your topic. If it were a disease that you're addressing, for example, one of you have diabetes, so you would have to talk about if there's something you find on pathophysiology or epidemiology. Or it could be on morbidity, mortality, incidence, and prevalence. Morbidity is illness. Mortality is death. Incidence is the number of new cases. Prevalence is the total number of cases. This type of information right here, you're likely to find on a website. So if you go to the Centers for Disease Control or National Institutes of Health, or a website directly linked to your topic, you're going to find this type of information. Or you might find an article about existing programs. And this tells you how you're going to use peer-reviewed articles, but it also tells you how to identify a good web source. So if you have a web source that ends in .org, .gov, or .edu, that is almost always a reliable source. Web pages that end in .com, .info, or other endings are almost always never reliable. So keep that in mind as you're looking for web pages. So these are possible good links for you to use. And so then after all those directions, here's where you're going to start to fill it in. So directly below this section, you're going to list 3 to 5 sources that you have found. It could be web pages, it could be articles, it could be a chapter in a book, and you're going to list them correctly using APA in this location. The reason why I want you to list 3 to 5 sources using APA format is at this point in your assignment, I'm going to give you feedback on what is correct or incorrect in what you're doing with APA format. This is to help you try to fix it before you submit your paper. Then if you read here, it says of these 3 to 5 sources here, you're going to choose one of the articles and you're going to elaborate on it below. You have to include the link to the article or a DOI, which is the digital identification number, or you have to include the article. So I need to be able to read the article. I read almost everything you submit. I read the article that you're addressing. So you need to make sure that whatever you give me for a link works. So if you give me a permalink, I'm going to be able to get to the article. If you give me the incorrect link, I cannot. If I cannot get to your article, you'll lose at least 1 point because I cannot confirm what you're doing. So after you list 3 to 5 articles here using APA, you're then going to choose one of them and you're going to summarize the article in 3 to 5 sentences. If the article is like a 5-page article, you should be able to summarize it in 3 to 5 sentences. If it's a 10 or 20-page article, you might need 3 paragraphs. The point here is that you're not rewriting the whole article. Do not give me the abstract to the article. I want you to summarize the key points in this article. Then, after that, in 3 to 5 sentences, you're going to explain how you might use the article for your paper or grant. And in this location, you're going to have to be very specific. For example, on page 22, there is a chart that outlines something. And I could use this in this way. So if you look at the scoring rubric, I'm going to look, do you have 3 to 5 articles on the assigned topic? Yes or no? Did you use APA correctly? If you have 0 or 1 errors in APA, you'll get 2 to 3 points. If you have more than 3 errors, you're going to get a 0. Then I'm going to give you, are your sources reliable for a 300 level course? So if you have Wikipedia and the local newspaper and a news channel and something from a web page that is not reliable, those you're going to lose points. Then I want to know, did you summarize the article in your own words and is it clear and easy to understand? That's worth up to 6 points. And so as you can see, I need to be able to read the article to know if you've summarized it in a way that's appropriate. Then have you explained how you can use this article? You need to explain to a part of the article, the chart on page 2, the paragraph on page 19. And you clearly understand the purpose of the paper. So I'm looking for specific items that you've identified, and then spelling and grammar. So the purpose of this assignment, if you understand the purpose, I think it will help you do it. One purpose is for me to give you feedback on your APA. Another purpose is to look at the sources that you're choosing to make sure you're choosing the correct type of sources. The third reason that you're doing this is to try to help you not plagiarize and to teach you how to summarize in your own words so that you are not plagiarizing when you turn in your paper. And the final piece of this, these annotated bibliographies should help you write your paper. And when you're giving these 3 to 5 sentences on what's in the article to help you, you should actually be identifying where in the article you're going to go to find information. The reason this is important is when you go to write your papers, you should not have your articles with you. You should have your annotated bibliographies with you. When you have these annotated bibliographies with you, you can, if it says on page 22 in paragraph 1, it says this and I can use it in my paper, then what you'll do is you'll open your article to page 22 and look at paragraph 1, rather than having to go through the whole article to find it. The purpose is to get you focused on what you need in the article. So these annotated bibliographies that I'm asking you to do may seem tedious, but this is the correct way to start writing a paper. So if you think about what we've done in this brief presentation, is we have gone over, go back to introductions, I've gone over with you what the main assignments are that are going to be collected. You have your in-class writing assignment, which I will be grading up through this weekend. You have online 1, which is watching the videos and answering questions about how the course is set up. Online 2 is critical because it helps you identify what is important in your grant, so you don't have to read a 50-page grant every time I ask you a question. It'll all be in a 5-page document. Online 03 is on planning, and you'll need to read your textbook for that. Online 04 is on grammar, and then the annotated bibliography. We've done part of this unit in class. All of the other lessons that we did not go over on week 1, you have to do on your own. Remember, I will be online Thursday morning. If you have any questions, I'll be in the Collaborate room, and in case you forgot where that is, you'll go to Information. It opens to Blackboard Collaborate. I suggest you try it before Thursday morning. And when you open Blackboard Collaborate, it should take you to a session. I will create a session, and you will then go into, let's see, yeah, I will create a session called Weekly Meetings, and you'll just click on that session, and you'll go in there, and I'll be waiting for you. Please, you might, when you come to these sessions, you could come to the sessions because you have specific questions, or you could come to the sessions and not have any specific questions. You may just want to hear what other people ask. So I encourage you to come to the session. I do not take attendance, but you can either ask and answer your questions, or you can listen to other people's questions that you may not have thought of yet. But the purpose of this session, especially this week, is to try to help you with any of the assignments that are due. So prior to Thursday morning, it's in your best interest to look at the assignments, look at what you need to do, so if you have questions, you have me available on Thursday morning. So I look forward to seeing you Thursday morning, or if I don't see you Thursday morning, I will see you next week on Tuesday afternoon in class. Have a great weekend.